All right, fourth grade. It is time for math. It has been a little bit since we have had a math lesson, so I hope that everything went all right. From what I could see, it was not a problem. I know you guys started last week learning about some geometry is what we call it. That's the different shapes, the closed figures, the quadrilaterals, all of those different things, and then like the points and the lines and the rays and all of that stuff. Now the reason I didn't do a video on it is because I taught that more in depth for fifth grade, and it was like overall between the different lessons that you guys did, it was like 40 minutes total of lesson and practice time. And you guys are just being introduced to geometry, so it's not as crucial that you get a ton of lesson on that. And I felt like it was more important for you to focus on the other things that day. So that's why you just did a quick little read over, look at the pictures so you can become familiar with those things. You will be learning those more in depth next year in fifth grade, and then so on and so forth in sixth and seventh grade and those things. And they're a lot easier than they seem. But another thing we're going to learn with our geometry, just a little introduction, quick little get it in your brain so that it's not confusing next year, is perimeter. And what perimeter is it is by definition the perimeter of a polygon or a closed shape with straight sides is the distance around the polygon. The perimeter is found by finding the sum of the lengths of the side. Now that seems really confusing just by definition, but I'm going to explain it to you in the lesson, and then we'll look at it in your books. So don't even open your books right now. Just watch the video, and then we will do practice after this lesson is done. So what the perimeter is, just in recap, it is the distance around a polygon or a shape, okay? So think if you are planting a garden and you need to put a fence around the garden to keep the deer and the rabbits and all of those things out. What you're going to do is you're going to figure out the shape of your garden, whether it's going to be a triangle, a rectangle, a square, and then to find how much fencing you need to know what the distance around this is, okay? So that's what we use. That's one way to use perimeter, but just to give you a little picture. So there are different what we call formulas in finding perimeter, but they're really easy once you understand just the basics of perimeter. That perimeter is the distance around a polygon or a shape. Okay, so let's start with our triangle, and then we'll do rectangle, and we'll learn square, okay? So first for your triangle, it has how many sides? 3 sides, okay? I don't know how well you can see this, but we'll look at it in the book. Whenever you're dealing with perimeter in a triangle, they're going to typically, most often, label the different sides using the letters A, B, and C. And that is to keep things separate so that you're familiar. So if I say side A of the triangle, you know I'm talking about this, okay? Because triangles are going to have sides, and they're going to look different and have different angles and all of those things. So they're not always going to look the same. So this is side A, side B, and side C. And what the formula for perimeter of a triangle, so in formulas, let me try and write big. Okay, can you see that all right? I think you can. Okay, in formula, the capital P is always going to stand for perimeter. Okay, so when you see capital P, you know they're asking for perimeter. So the perimeter of a triangle equals side A, the distance of side A here, plus the length of side B, A plus B, plus the length of side C, plus C, okay? So that is the formula. Let me move that a little closer because I see there's a glare on that. But if you can see again, so this is the perimeter of a triangle is the distance, the length of side A, plus side B, plus side C. So if I had A equals, let's say, equals 2, B equals 3, and C equals 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say P equals, A equals 2, so I'm going to insert 2. B equals what? 3. 2 plus 3 plus C equals 4. Okay, so that's my new formula. I just add it all together. And my perimeter of this triangle is 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 whatever. Let's say 9 inches. Okay? So that's how you find the perimeter of a triangle. You just add all 3 sides together. Now, for a rectangle, if you remember, a rectangle has 4 sides, right? Okay, now here's the thing. With a rectangle, the width is the height, basically, the width, okay? So whenever you're talking about the width, because of the way a rectangle is made, both sides, the width is going to be the same on both sides. So if my width here equals 2, W equals 2, then this side is going to be 2 as well, all right? And then, I know you can't really see my face, let me come over to this side. And then the length of a rectangle is the top and the bottom, it's how long it is. So if my length here, L, I'm using a cursive L so you can see it a little and not mistake it for a 1. L, if my length equals 5, then my length up here is going to be the same. L equals 5 because the width is the same on both sides and the length is the same on both sides in a rectangle. So there's two different ways you can find the perimeter of a rectangle. You can either do P equals, I'm going to get a new marker that you can see a little bit better because this is kind of fading. P equals, we can do our length plus my length plus my width plus my width. Okay, so again, for my rectangle, I have my length plus my length plus my width plus my width. So I'm just going and measuring the whole way around, okay? So this could be, let's see, length is 5 plus 5 plus 2 plus 2, and then you just add it to find your thing, or to find your perimeter. Now, my favorite way is making it a little easier and taking a little bit of a shortcut. So the new formula that we are going to use, and you're going to focus a lot on this in 5th grade, is P equals, now how many lengths am I doing? There's 2 lengths, right? So instead of doing 5 plus 5, we can just do 2 times the length plus 2 times, how many widths are we adding? 2. 2 times the width, okay? So this is my most favorite way and the one you're going to use the most, okay? So while you're practicing, if you use this, that's fine, but it's going to get a little more complicated and it's going to be easier to just use this in the long run. So if you practice with this one, it will make your future life a lot easier. Okay, so the reason why they have these parentheses is to just kind of keep it separate, because that way you know you need to multiply these and multiply these before you add them together, okay? It's your PEMDAS, parenthesis, let me see, where can I write that? This is how you, the order of operations. So whenever you're doing math, you always do inside the parentheses first, and then you use the exponents, which we'll get to that in 5th grade. The 5th graders actually just learned exponents, so it's kind of fun. And then you multiply, then you divide, and then you add, and then you subtract. Okay, there's a certain order you need to do math in for it to be correct, and that's what it is. So parentheses is always first. So with this rectangle, if we were to insert our formula, we have our perimeter equals 2 times my length is 5 plus 2 times my width, which is 2, and then we're going to go down here and keep solving. P equals 2 times 5 is what? 10. So we solved for 10, we're just going to leave that plus 2 times 2 is what? 4. And now we add these together, so my perimeter is 14. Okay, so that's pretty easy. You just, again, add around, and that's what you would get if you did it the same way up here, because 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 2 is 4. So there's just 2 different ways. Okay, now one last thing we're going to do before we do a little bit of a practice is our perimeter of a square. We're doing 2 lessons in one today, because I think that it's a pretty, once you get one shape, it's pretty easy to get the rest. So looking at a square, it is a little different than a rectangle because all 4 sides are the same. These little hash marks you're going to see in geometry, they will show you that sides equal or sides are what you call equivalent sides. So that just means that they're equal. They're all the same. So if one side is 4 inches, then all of the sides are 4 inches, okay? So you can either do it for your square. Your perimeter can either equal side. I'm going to use S to, instead of writing out the whole word, side plus side, side plus side plus side plus side. Okay, so that would be, in this case, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Okay, Or like our rectangle, you can use multiplication to make it a little more simple. So how many sides of a square are there? 4. And they're all the same. So we have 4 numbers that are the same. And we can either add these numbers the same, or we can just do our perimeter equals of a square 4 times the length of one side. Because again, if this is 4, this is 4, this is 4, this is 4, we're adding them 4 times, or we can just multiply it by 4. So our perimeter, using this formula, which is my favorite because it's the fastest and easiest, 4 times the length of our side is 4. 4 times 4 equals 16. Now, if we add that, let's just double check to make sure. If each of these is 4 inches, each side of our square is 4 inches, then we have 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16. Or we can just do 4 times 4 equals 16. Okay, so that's the basics of perimeter. And what we're going to do is you actually have a second practice video, so I am going to stop the video in just a second and set up for practice, but I need you to get your math books and open them up to page number 277. 277, have a pencil ready to go for our practice video.